On today's Newsmakers, ex-psychic Jen Nizza is now a Christian with a powerful message and a warning to young people and parents alike about what is happening in our culture with the occult and the New Age. With no further ado, here is Jen Nizza to break down the new numbers that just came out from the Pew Research Center showing just how many Americans rely on horoscopes, tarot cards, and other New Age practices. With no further ado, here is Jen Nizza. Well, Jen, once again, we have an interesting report to break down here. There is new research from the Pew Research Center, and they do some really wonderful research. So it's interesting that they dove into astrology, tarot cards, and fortune tellers. And what Pew found was that 30% of Americans, about 3 in 10 Americans, use these things at least one time a year. Again, that's tarot cards, astrology, fortune tellers. As a former psychic medium, what was your reaction to these numbers?
Oh, I thought it was horrific, to be quite honest with you, but I can't say that I'm completely surprised. I agree that it's great that there was a study done on this to let us see what's going on. In this article, it went on to say that low percentage doesn't necessarily, you didn't even ask me that, Billy, I'm sorry, but doesn't necessarily believe, and that's a big problem. Many people are going because they think it's entertainment, but I want to argue something as a former psychic. How sure are we that they don't believe a little bit? How do we know that when they go for that reading, it's not like, oh, I wonder what they're going to say or what's going to come out for me in the cards or the astrology chart?
Yeah, well, and the other thing, when you're surveying people, it's like when you ask somebody, when's the last time you gave a donation? People will always, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but they'll always say, oh, it was like last week or last month, because you actually believe that, but really it might have been a year ago that you gave money. When you're answering certain questions, you may think that the researcher will think it's silly if you say you believe, right? So I would bet you're right. I would bet that that number on the trust factor is actually higher, which is unfortunate. And, you know, to reiterate what you said, 2 in 10 say that they do it mostly for fun. 1 in 10 Americans said that they engage mostly because they get helpful insights. So people might downplay that and say, oh, well, it's only 1 in 10, you know, people who are saying that. That's a pretty large number of people still, though. I mean, right, that are actually finding helpful insights in this information. I don't know if you want to reflect on that at all.
Yeah, on both points that you just made. I mean, number one, whether you believe or not in it and you're just doing it what you believe is for entertainment, you're opening a demonic door, which is so heartbreaking. That's just the truth of it. If you're going to use a tool of divination, you're going outside of God's will and boundaries. It doesn't matter what your reasoning is for it, and then you're inviting that into your life. So that's really heartbreaking. For people that say that they're going to it for insight, for wisdom, hello, I did that myself. I totally understand that. And especially in such a chaotic world that we live in. And I totally get that desire. Yet that's a desire man has had since sin came about and Satan tempted Eve in the garden, right? We want to know what we aren't supposed to know, except that it's not true. The enemy works in half-truths, right? So, hey, let me give you a little something that already happened in the past, and now I've got you hooked. I will report that to you accurately. Now I've got you hooked, and I'm going to start giving you all my other lies. And the lie is that one of the biggest ones, that you should even be going to psychics and tools of divination for your help, for your wisdom, and for your decision making. It's really upsetting.
Well, and the thing that people need to understand is you, as a former psychic medium, you were not just a psychic for 3 months, for a year. For the majority of your life, you spent in that world from very young until you were in your late, 30s. I mean, you believed this. You believed it was real. You believed you were helping people. You believed that you were connecting. You were giving them, their fortunes. You believed you were connecting with the dead. Talk a little bit about that just so people understand, because we can say all day, well, most Americans don't really think there's anything going on here. They're just doing it for fun. But as a practitioner, you actually believed very much so, and you were engaging with the spirit realm, just not the types of spirits you thought.
Right, 100%. And I truly had a compassion for helping people. And I believed I had this gift from God, as it was reported to me from the New Age community. And I believe that because that was an explanation for what was going. Why else was I getting detailed information, not random, detailed information about random people and random places, but then also when I was doing readings on a regular basis. So I was going around anywhere I went, I was followed by this multitude of demons feeding me information and using me as a pawn for the evil one. So that made perfect sense to me. And I really did want to help people. On the flip side of it, as the client, I also was a client many times. I was getting readings for years of my life, Billy. As you know, my first one was at 13. And after that, I too went to divination. Even when I did my own readings, I did automatic writings on myself. I channeled. I went into a meditative trance-like state and I channeled. And it was always to ask a question, to find something out about my life. So I can understand both. But the reality is that this is a very real thing. It's really demonic. And blowing it off as some sort of game or entertainment party fun thing is a very dangerous thing to do.
Well, and I think to your point earlier, there's more to it than that. Even if people are doing it for fun at a party, they think that there's some truth in it. There's something, even if they think it's fun, that they want to pull from it, which is why they're engaging in it. And the thing that really showed up in the research, some different groups of people, I'm just going to talk about one right now, young adults, especially young women, they are more likely to look at astrology and horoscopes than most other groups. Why do you think young people, especially young women, are so entrapped in that when you compare them to other age groups and other individuals?
You know, I wonder if it really goes back again to the garden, Billy. I mean, it was the woman who was tempted by the serpent for, and hey, listen, I'm not trying to be sexist or anything here. We also have, we have this, maybe what some people want to call like this intuitive thing, this softer side, something like that, where we're more prone to, and again, I hate to generalize, but you asked the question, to the spiritual realm. We're looking for that. I mean, there's a big thing with the divine feminine too, with goddess worship and so on and so forth. And we have to remember that our culture today is certainly targeting that age range with the female musicians that are all "I am woman, hear me roar."
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's a really good point. And I think women too, and I'm gonna say something, I'm gonna get myself in trouble. There are plenty of women who are logical and plenty of men who are emotional, but the point is women are more in tune to emotion in general, and men tend to focus more on, does that make sense? You know, the logic. And so you need both of those things in life. And again, men and women can have both of them. But I think that this is more emotional, right? Because it does play into your emotions, your feelings, what you want to know about the future. We all want to know what our future is, but we're not intended to know that. We're intended to trust God for what he has for us and to be in his will. So there's a lot here. I don't know if you want to reflect on that at all before I get myself canceled.
Well, we're both canceled. Don't worry. Actually, what I would like to mention is going back to the people that are saying that it is just entertainment. I'd like to say, I'm skipping over what you just said, only because I wanted to get this out. That what happens then, you're going for fun, right? What happens today then, your fun reading comes up with something in that reading that you understand, that is accurate, that resonates with you, and you have that, oh my goodness moment, that shock factor. Now what happens, Billy? Because let's say you go 9 times out of the 10, and 9 times out of the 10, you're still laughing it off, but that 10th time, you hear something that hits home in a really big way and at a really vulnerable time of your life. This highlights the danger of doing something that's demonic. Again, whether you agree with it or not. But I do agree, going back to what you said, absolutely, I'm with you 100% on that. Women are more emotional, wondering about many things that are on the heart, absolutely true. And yes, we do need a balance of which is why men and women were created to help one another, right? And to complement one another.
You know, the other thing with young people in general, outside of just females, we're watching a resurgence and an interest in faith. And we'll sort of close out with this because I think this is important. As young people are questioning the lies they've been told, they're looking for something bigger than themselves. This is not positive. This data is not positive, but the glimmer of hope in it is that there are people who are open, young people, to something bigger than themselves, right? That they're realizing that it's not just what's in front of us. So the goal would be, how do you get them away from tarot cards, astrology, and all of that and get them towards the Lord? But do you think because we're watching so many young people start to question the secularism that we have, that maybe that might be driving more of this, unfortunately, again, but because they're looking for that truth?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the ultimate spiritual battle, right? The tug of war between, quote unquote, good and evil, God and the enemy, that we see this spiritual battle happening in the high places. And we see the enemy trying as hard as he can to influence the youth and the rest of people too, for souls. It's a battle for souls. And I think that it's true what you're saying. It's great to see the conversions that we're seeing. We're seeing revivals. We're seeing great things, which is awesome. And this is prime time, Billy, to be warning and exposing about the New Age and the occult.
Absolutely. No, and this is what we need to be doing, and, making sure that we're actively trying to reach people with the truth. Now, I want to highlight a couple of things that you are working on right now before we go here. This is very important. People can go to xpsychicsave.com. That's your website. You also have a podcast, X Psychic Save, that people can go and listen to, your YouTube channel, and you have a big project right now that you are fundraising for, which is a film, Out of the Shadows, and X Psychic Finds Jesus, a film about your life. It's an incredible story. And if people want to take part in that, they're able to go to your givesendgo.com/out of the shadows. They can go and contribute to that if they would like and find out more information about that project. Anywhere else you want to send people, Jen?
Thank you, Billy. I really appreciate that. I think you hit you hit all the spots. I mean, on the website, if I'm going out and I'm speaking, I'm going into churches. There's a form that can be filled out on my website if you'd like to come have me talk in your church. The new book is coming out in October 1st. I'm super excited. But yeah, if you guys want to support this movie that I'm blessed to say my brother here, Billy, is joining forces with me on this. It's really important to do all that we can in our culture. It's one thing that we're exposing it, right? It's another thing to get in there and say, okay, I'm exposing this, and yet I'm also showing you the power of God, the glory of God, and how he can take somebody like me. He can take your friend, your mom, your sister, your daughter out of the New Age and bring them into the kingdom of light with our Lord Jesus Christ.
Well, that is a perfect place for us to close today. Jen, Nizza, as always, thank you for your time.
God bless you, Billy.
That's all for today's Newsmakers. Make sure you head on over to the CBN News YouTube channel and cbnnews.com for more of the news you need to read. We'll see you again tomorrow.